Today, let's go over how to hardwire your ProGCC controller. This can be useful if you're experiencing dropouts or connection losses. In this video, we'll be using one of the original GameCube to USB-C cables that we provided in the ProGCC kits. First things first, we have to cut off the USB-C end of the cable to gain access to the wires inside. Next, we'll want to strip off the outer coating, revealing the 4 wires inside the cable. Red will be your data wire, white is your 5V connection, green is your 3.3V connection, and black is ground. Next up, we'll want to remove the sync button from the controller and expand the hole that it sat in. I used a rotary tool with a cone tip and bored the hole out to be slightly larger. Once we've expanded the hole, we can slip the cable through effortlessly. Please note, this is only one way of doing this mod. If you want to do it through the USB-C port, you can as well. Now onto the soldering. For this, we'll look at the schematic to make sure we're putting the wires into the correct position. If this all looks daunting to you, then don't worry. We're only really focusing on this small section of the schematic, the connector points. There's a total of 6 pins, however we will only be using 4. Your wires will get soldered on based on the connections that I mentioned earlier. Red is data, white is 5V, green is 3.3V, and black is ground. Once you're done soldering the wires into their correct spots, it's time to put it back into the shell. Slide the main PCB into place and pull a little bit of the wire through just so there's not any strain on the connections. You can then take a zip tie and cinch it down right next to the shell, so if the wire gets pulled, it won't rip the traces, but instead it'll just pull the zip tie against the shell. On to the last few steps. You will need to remove 2 posts from the trigger piece in order for the wire to have room inside of the controller. For this, I used a pair of flush cut pliers. I also removed the small wall of plastic near where the sync button is located. You may have to trim more plastic depending on how thick the cable that you're using is, but for the cable that we supplied, this seems to fit very well inside my controller. If yours seems like it's pinching, then you'll need to slowly go back and forth removing plastic until you no longer feel as if it is. And that's all there really is to it. Remember, your install doesn't have to look exactly like ours. As long as you have your wires soldered in the correct locations, the rest is entirely up to you. We hope this helped. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like and subscribe, and check out our wiki in the description.